Question number 26. It's about the private placement. You need to choose between making a public offer, offering and arranging a private placement. In each case, the issue involves 10 million face value of 10-year debt. You have the following data for each. A public issue, the interest rate on the debt would be 8.5% and the debt would be issued at a face value. The underwriting spread would be 1.5% and other expenses would be 80,000. Private placement interest rate would be 9%, but the total issuing expense would be only 30,000. So what is different in the proceed to the company net of expenses? So to the proceed to the company are actually the 10 million, but we have to pay some expenses. So we will deduct all the expenses uh, which we have to pay at the time of issue, and the remaining amount will be the net proceed. So let's start part A. For the public issue, the net proceeds will be 10 million, and then we have to uh, deduct the underwriter spreads 1.5%. Then we will deduct some other expenses which are 80,000. So after solving all of this, we will have 9.7 million dollars. For the private placement, we have 10 million and we have only 30,000 as issuing expenses. There is no underwriting spread. So this will be 9.9 million, 9.97 million. Part B. What is the difference in the proceed to the company net of, other things being equal, which is a better deal? So if we ignore the interest expenses, then it seems that private placement is a better deal because it's providing us more money as compared to the public issue. So if we include the taxes, then we can see that the public issue has lower taxes, it's only 8.5%, while the private issue has the higher interest, 9%. So there is a difference of interest expenses in both cases. So we will compare these two on the basis of it. So for expenses, we know that we have to pay these expenses every year. So for example, for a public issue or for a private issue, we will, for a private issue, for example, if we are raising $100 loan, then each year for the next 10 years, we have to pay 9% interest, which is $9. So we will pay $9, then $9, then $9 till the end of the period. So if we, what will be the total cost? We have to calculate the present value of all of these future cash flows. So there are two ways. We can calculate the present value of all of the future interest payments for a public issue at 8.5%, and then we can calculate the interest payment for a private issue at a 9%, uh, and then we can deduct those interest payments from these above proceeds. Then we will see which options will provide a higher interest proceeds. Another option is, we know that the 8 point, the one that public issue has interest of 8.5%, while the private placement has 9%. So the difference is 0.5%. So we can only take the difference, like 0.5% here, 0.5% here, till the 10th here. We can calculate its present value, and we see if what is its amount, then we compare it with the difference between these two values. So if we see the nature of this cash flow, this cash flow is actually an annuity, because there are uh, equal amounts at each interval, and we know the time period, it's 10 years, so fixed time period, and the equal amounts at each time period, and the distance between the two intervals is also the same, like 1 year. Then we can use the annuity formula present to calculate the present value. So the present, there are different annuity formulas. You can use anyone. All of these are different variations of this same formula. So I am using this present value of annuity formula. So uh, the cash flows, or the payment, or the fixed payment, we will be giving each year's. Then we multiply it 1 over R, the interest rate, the opportunity cost. Then we have minus 1 over R into 1 plus R par T. So it's a 10-year bond. So T will be 10, and the cash flow. So the cash flow. So we know that the difference is 0.5%. We will multiply it with the 10 million, and this will give us the annual payments RSC, which is 50,000. So here we have 50,000. Then the R will be 0.085 minus 1 over 0.085 into 1 plus 0.085 for 10 closing brackets. By solving for this, we will have 50,000 into 11.76 minus 5.20. So by further solving, we will get 328,000. So this is the extra interest we will be paying if we take the private placement, because the private placement has 9% interest and the public placement has 8.5% interest. So we have calculated this, the present value of extra interest, the 0.5%. So if we take the private placement, we have to pay an extra 0.5% interest, which will be 3,28,000 in total. So, what is our total savings if we go for a public placement? So, if we subtract both of these amounts, we know that we are getting 200,000 more money if we go for a private placement. But the private placement will increase our expenses by 328,000. So we have to pay actually 128,000 more as compared to the public issue if we choose for a private placement. Therefore, from these information, we can conclude that a public issue is a better choice under the given situation because it will give you or save more money in a longer run. While the private placement seems more attractive if we ignore the interest expenses. So C part, what other factors beyond the interest rate and issue cost would you wish to consider before deciding between the two factors? So in a public issue, the company actually has less flexibility because it depends on the general public whether they are bidding for the issue or not, what prices they want, or how many shares they are interested in. While in the private placement, that can be negotiated in a better way. It can be tailored, right, as per the needs of the firm. Uh, so the firm and the private parties or the banks, they can negotiate a better deal which suits both the parties and it will be quick. While the public issue, it cannot be tailored enough to accommodate both the firm and the general public. Therefore, sometimes it's better to go for a private placement, even though it's a little bit expensive as compared to the public issue.